WandaVision may be over, but Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe continues with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and right off the bat it already feels like your more standard Marvel story. The show takes flight with both Falcon and the Winter Soldier still living in the shadow of Steve Rogers, with plenty of nods to other areas of the MCU's past and deeper cuts from the comics. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Elliott with Screen Rant, and here are all the MCU Easter eggs we found in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 1.
When Steve first told me about the shield, the first words I said were, "It feels like it belongs to someone else."
6 months after Endgame, Sam is clearly struggling with the idea of taking up the shield, and we see him early on playing back the conversation that he had with Steve at the end of Endgame. We're then introduced to First Lieutenant Joaquin Torres, a name that will be familiar to fans of the comics. In the comics, Torres was kidnapped by a group called Sons of the Serpent and experimented on by Dr. Carl Malice, turning him into a bird-human hybrid, and he later went on to become the second Falcon during Sam's stint as Captain America. It is worth noting that Malice has worked for Power Broker Inc., the organization/person in the comics responsible for giving US Agent his powers. Their name does appear during the end credits, so as usual in the MCU, everything does seem to be connected, and Torres may very well become an important part of the show. The opening action sequence features the return of George Batroc, known in the comics as Batroc the Leaper, who previously fought Steve Rogers in Captain America the Winter Soldier. We also return to the Cap exhibit at the Smithsonian that Steve visited in the film, which is filled with memorials to his time with the Howling Commandos, as well as a replica of his costume from Captain America the First Avenger.
They call themselves the Flag Smashers.
Was that a new thing? Bad guys give themselves bad names?
In the comics, Karl Morgenthau, otherwise known as Flag Smasher, debuted in Captain America number 312, and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier introduces us to a group known as the Flag Smashers, a terrorist organization who launch attacks on what they call symbols of world separatism. They've clearly got some power players, and while we haven't seen much of them yet, we're pretty sure that that won't be the case for long. We later see Bucky wake up on the floor from a nightmare, which is a callback in a way to Captain America the Winter Soldier, where Steve and Sam talk about how hard it is to sleep in a bed after returning to civilian life, so it looks like Bucky has the same problem. And like Steve, albeit with a bit more PTSD, Bucky is clearly having other issues reintegrating to the modern world. Where Steve carried a notebook of things he needed to catch up on like movies, Bucky's got a notebook of wrongs he needs to put right, and as you might expect, some of those names have a history. Andrei Rostov, aka the Red Barbarian, was a former general in the USSR who ran a gulag where Bucky was imprisoned, and he was later assassinated by the Winter Soldier. P.W. Hauser is likely Wilhelm Hauser, a Nazi who fought Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos in the comics. Helmut Zemo is the main villain of Captain America Civil War, who we already know is in the show. C. Kuznetsov is probably a reference to a scientist who created a sentient robot named Udarnik in the comics, and Len Kaminsky and Steve Whitaker, they're both Marvel comic book writers.
Lab's all set up, boss.
Actually, he's the boss. I just pay for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler.
The bank scene has a cute little nod to the question of how the Avengers get paid, and the end of the episode, in addition to introducing John Walker as US Agent, also features the return of WHIH News, a recurring presence throughout the MCU. The end credits seem to tease a lot of upcoming plot points, and in addition to the Power Broker nod we talked about earlier, there's also a reference to Madripoor, an island nation from X-Men comics that we have heard will be in the show before, and a shot of actor Carl Lumbly as some sort of test subject, who is believed to be playing Isaiah Bradley, the first black Captain America in the comics. While Falcon and the Winter Soldier might not be as mysterious as WandaVision, it's clear that there will still be plenty of Marvel nods and references to unpack in each episode. So make sure you keep coming right back here to Screen Rant each week as the series continues, and let us know if you caught something that we didn't. So until next time guys, I am Greg Elliott, thank you for watching, and I'm out. See ya.